The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hall of Fame, no opinions are the same. Lovely chocolate in the bin for the poll, who will win? Cream soda wrestling, pimple dick ranting, air fryer Brussels sprouts, Maxie often cheats. Hey yo, let's start the show, CWF are set to go, many movies I won't know, such a fiasco. Max v Cy was pretty crap, probably won't go back to that. Max needs to wear a hat, and he sometimes cheats. Hogan is a liar, but Barry Windham is the
worst
thing. Hogan is a liar, hear all about it on Chain Wrestling.
No.
I could. Were you muted then?
No.
Okay. I can hear you.
I just thought that I come on, I go, hey, yeah, really loud sometimes. I thought this time I'm going to be a little bit quieter, Maxie.
Yeah, just as quiet as you were when you rocked up not 2 minutes ago.
Am I here on time?
Just about had me panicking. Thought I'd have to face these riff-raff alone.
Dear me. Dear me. Maxie, I'm in the chat. Look. Can you see that? I said hey yo in the chat.
Let me just block that.
Brilliant.
Hard. This one, hard. There we go.
I was testing, Maxie. I was testing. Because as people know, we've been
you
going...
were very tested.
I'm very testing, indeed. As people know, we've been going live via X for the last, month? 6 weeks, maybe, something like that. And lots of people... Yeah, we're getting plenty of people watching, plenty of people getting, involved, and the numbers have been great, so it's been good. The Volley also went live via X this week. And they were a bit, Matt Willis was saying he was a bit unsure about people being able to comment and so on. I was like, well, we have people comment from X. I can't see that being an issue. So I just dived on there, and you can. So anyone who is listening or watching on X, click the actual feed itself, and it should give you a little thing at the bottom. If it doesn't, just scroll down a little bit, and it gives you the option to basically comment and join in with the live show. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Join the fun, folks.
There we go. Indeed. Magsy, it's been a busy weekend, hasn't it? There's been wrestling, there's been football, there's been a lot going on, mate.
There has. It's been hectic. Normally I like a nice, relaxed weekend, but this weekend's been pretty damn busy.
Indeed. I'm sure we'll dive into some of that shortly. But also, there's somebody I want to mention as well. Mr. Vince Russo, have you seen a tweet from him this week criticising the fans in Scotland?
I have not. No.
Saying that the football style chanting.
Follow him or
listen
to anything he says.
Okay. Well, he says that the football style chanting and so on is really off-putting, and he doesn't like it, and it takes away from the show, and it makes him turn over. He's also in a tweet following on from this said that he believes that people are paying to go to these events to put themselves over, as in the crowd. And he's also saying that he believes these people aren't enjoying the show. They're just there to sing their songs. These aren't genuine. There's no genuine excitement. Now, I, at times, have defended Vince Russo. I think he gets a bit of a rough ride. I think that sometimes he's criticised when he probably doesn't deserve it just because of who he is. He doesn't help himself, though. And this is one of those situations where he doesn't help himself. It's nonsense. We don't get pay-per-views on this side of the water very often.
Whoa. Before you dive into a rhetoric, I'm just going to rip up the script for a minute because... I always forget about that fucking chicken. Just throws me every single time.
Fame.
So,
A
yeah,
Hall of Fame before the intro. My word.
exactly. I mean, this just goes to show how much we don't prepare and we don't talk to each other before we start recording. But my Hall of Fame for this week is the fans in Scotland. Well, partly the fans in Scotland.
Okay.
Over the last couple of years, when we've really got into the Paul Levesque era, we've seen a lot more UK and Europe-based pay-per-views. We've had Backlash in France. We've had Money in the Bank coming over to the UK. And even before that, even in the Vince McMahon area, the UK have always got UK-specific pay-per-views that don't really count in the long-term canon, but we still get those pay-per-views. So I thought it's about time British fans and European fans get the flowers that they deserve, because they are some of the most passionate fans that you see. Britain is so rabid for WWE and even AEW. I mean, look at AEW London. British fans are so rabid that they make the show so much better than the actual wrestling. And to counter Vince Russo's comments, I absolutely adore the football chanting. That's what we do as Brits. We chant, we sing, we take our shoes off if you wait, Gibson. So yeah, my very early Hall of Fame this week is the European fans. I think they make wrestling so much better when the WWE come over to Europe.
Yeah, well, there you go. Spot on, mate. Spot on. I was toying with the idea of actually having Vince Russo as my Hall of Shame this week because of what he said. But then I thought, no, I've got something else for that we can talk about in a moment. But I don't know if you've got the jingle to hand. Maybe we could chuck him in as a pinball dick, Magsy.
Saying that, I also have one of them.
Pinball dick alert!
Oh, a teeny weeny.
So I've just heaped lots and lots of praise on European fans. I think they bring so much to the show. I loved Clash at the Castle, where I was chanting along with the fans. But there was a small section of those fans that were dickheads. So I don't know if you've heard the news from today, but a number of Scottish fans were so incensed at Drew McIntyre not becoming the WWE champion that they were farting outside the stadium. Real people were really farting over a scripted pretend fart in the ring. Yeah.
Is there anything more British than that?
No, well, that is very true. But yeah, my pimple dick for this week is the fucking idiot fans that were farting because the script didn't say Drew McIntyre was going to win.
Dear me. Mine then will be Mr. Vince Russo for his comments on those fans and saying that we don't go to these events to enjoy ourselves. We go to these events to put ourselves over. We go to these events to, we're not actually having fun, but it's all just coordinated nonsense, etc., etc. And it takes away from the matches and so on. When pretty much every performer who's wrestled in that environment has actually gone on and said they bloody love it. So obviously they don't mind. The one occasion I did kind of agree with Russo here is when he mentioned about somebody trying to cut a promo. That occasionally, I'm not saying shut up, of course not. You want crowd reactions, but the singing of songs during a promo might not be in the best. That might not be the best moment. I might semi-agree with Mr. Russo there, but on the other side of the coin, Magsy, Mr. Russo and his fellow Americans gave us the fucking what chant. So fuck you, Vince. You know?
That's very true.
Indeed.
As King Pigbladder says in the chat, this is spot on. Vince does not understand that we chant to what we see, not because we're bored. Exactly. I mean, how many wrestlers over the last few pay-per-views that have come to England and France have stood there in the ring whilst the crowd sing their entire entrance song to them? Randy Orton said that it gave him goose pimples to have like 15,000 people singing his theme tune. So the wrestlers love coming over to Europe, and us fans absolutely adore it. So Vince Russo can go eat a whole big bag of dicks.
There we go. There we go. And on that note, nearly 11 minutes into the show, shall we start the show properly, Max?
Let's go for it.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, an SJP World Media production, episode 155. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the Finn Balor to my bad grammar. Does that one work for you? You okay with that one?
I didn't realise it was a spelling bee, but yeah.
But that's why it says bad grammar, because it doesn't quite match. So it works on
I
different
know words.
Oh. The Gargano to my Gargan, yes. A podcaster who somehow won the poll, even though the CWF told me what they wanted me to put up, and it's still lost. What are you guys doing to me? Lord Mags. What did you think of the football this weekend then, my friends, since we touched upon the wrestling?
Before I get to that, I want to just add a little bit to what you just said. Not only did they not pick the match that you put forward, but I put it forward as well. And then when you said you wanted to put it forward, I changed. So they picked not only my backup, but that went before my first choice and your first choice. So yeah, they really did not want you to win the poll this week.
No,
Ridiculous.
really did not, mate. Really did not. Before we dive into anything else, I have just noticed that I had a WhatsApp message from you at 3 minutes to 8, and it says, "Oi, knob tickler, where are you?"
Yes.
So affectionate, Max. So affectionate.
I mean, you did
Shall we
almost leave me in the lurch.
shall we scan through the chat then and see who has joined us, and then we can
So we're not
talk
talking
about what's
the
gone on this
football
weekend?
Okay,
Well, I just don't want to leave people waiting, mate. I don't want to leave people waiting.
That's fair, because they are the show at the end of the day. So
First
up, we have got King Pig Balors, who again has knocked it out of the park with my pack looking Johnny Gargano, Finn Balor graphics. Amazing stuff. I absolutely love it. And he says, "Evening, gents." Morty starting the show as well from the beginning. He says, "What up, heathens?" And then the first lady of SJP, Sharon, says, "It's Monday night, and you know what that means. And don't forget, give her a bell if you want an amazing class like these, because they are absolutely badass." King Pig Balor says hello to Morty. Benny Mac in the chat as well. Hello, sir. How are you? Doing great work on the network as well. Massively appreciate it. Some Bellend has messaged in. Don't know. Sa Powell. Hey, yo. Morty then had to test out the X and saying, "Well, I did not know that this was the thing." Benny also wants to know which Ziggy shirt is that.
Well, yeah, okay. This is a T-shirt from the Waiting Room podcast, looking at Quantum Leap that Benny and I do. Those who are unaware, this is the hand link that they communicate to Ziggy, the computer in the future, and find out what percentage chance Sam has to complete missions. And this says, the Waiting Room podcast, Ziggy says, stand up, I think. Ziggy says, there's 99% chance you're an asshole.
He's not wrong. He's never wrong, is Ziggy. Ori in the chat. Hello, Ori. How are you, man?
Awesome. Lovely to see you again, Ori.
And King Pig is saying hello, and Ori's saying hello back. King Pig is saying he picked Keith. I mean, I would have been absolutely happy to watch Keith, but maybe Sa will throw it back in today, because we know how much effort he puts into the show. And this is accurate. King Pig says Sa poo well. Yes, he does poo very, very well, I've heard.
It's not so ironic about that. That is actually something that my sister refers to us as, and my wife says as well. And it's actually a name that has almost become like a little nickname for us amongst ourselves, because it's just a silly way. Yes.
Brilliant. I'd like to see your toilet roll, Bill.
Well, yeah, extortionate, mate, extortionate. The Euros, Mr. Magsy, the Euros.
Yes.
You know, pretty much everybody has played now. I think France are playing at the moment, but pretty much everyone has played by this point. England were their usual underwhelming selves. It's
I think it was. There's an old saying in football: it's a game of two halves, and that match proved that would beyond a shadow of a doubt because the first half, England were untouchable. They were magic, absolute magic. I mean, Jude Bellingham run the show. It was just superb to watch. And then they panicked in the second half, and it was an absolute shit show. Luckily, Declan Rice was solid in front of that back four. I think Mark Gay had a great game as well.
yeah.
But yeah, it was weird watching the first half and thinking this could be 4-5-0, and then watching the second half and thinking we're scraping to hold on to these 3 points. It was definitely a game of two halves. I mean, Pickford pulled off some miraculous saves, and how Kane didn't score with that header was just amazing. But what a fucking player Jude Bellingham is! If he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, he's unreal. He's absolutely unreal. Just it's 3 points though, and it's a win that we don't normally get at major tournaments. We usually end up drawing or losing the first game, so the points are on the board. Just we've got to step it up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. That's fair enough. Nobody's been massively convincing yet, have they? I don't think.
No.
Everyone's looked, but again,
maybe Germany. But
yeah,
they
that's
didn't have strong opponents, did they?
No, that's it. But again, it is the Germans, isn't it? They're very efficient. They're the home team as well, so it is what it's going to be. Nice to see the Belgians lose today, though. I enjoyed that.
I felt sorry as well for Ukraine today. It would have been nice for them because they lost 3-0 to Romania.
Right.
But it would just have been. It's just they've been battered on the world stage with Russia. It would have been nice for them to maybe pick up a good result today against Romania, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's still going to go through, aren't they?
Well, I mean, they got absolutely tonked though. Romania was all over.
They did. They did. Romania did look quite good, didn't they? That first goal was a wonderful finish. But anyway, this is not a football podcast. This is Chain Wrestling Live. It's barely a wrestling podcast. We have the Volley live covering the football through the Euros for you all.
They're much better at it than us.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Make sure you are subscribing and liking and following and all that great stuff to SJP World Media on Facebook, Twitter, of course, here on YouTube as well. So you know whenever anyone is going to go live with regards to coverage of any of the Euros matches, it can pop up at any time. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss a single thing. Maxie, you've done your Hall of Fame, haven't you? Shall we have a quick Hall of Fame?
Is that what you've got for this week?
It is, mate. It is.
The Hall of
So then. I would like to take a little look at, well, I suppose in a way, it's something that you and I talk about quite a bit, Magsy, how the early 90s in professional wrestling, and at times the late 80s in professional wrestling, with the cartoon gimmicks aiming at the children, the kids, and all that sort of stuff, was just crap. Obviously, in the mid-90s, we got into that era where everyone had to have a job. They were like a bin man or a dentist and all that nonsense. Just before that, we had characters who were inspired by what people saw on television sometimes. Rip-offs, basically. We had one with Arachnaman the other week, didn't we? Inspired very much by Spider-Man, who was, of course, then given a cease and desist because it's a blatant rip-off of Spider-Man. But that was because that company was very much on a national stage. Now, I want to talk about a character who has been portrayed by a couple of different people and popped up on a couple of events or shows or companies that aren't quite at the national stage, and they kind of went under the radar and did kind of get away with it. I would like to talk about a character called Cowabunga. who stems from the very early 90s when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Hero Turtles here in the UK, because our kids in the 90s couldn't hear a word like ninja because apparently it was going to incite violence.
Correct.
Go figure.
Whereas heroes wouldn't.
No, exactly. We start our little, very small journey with the character Cowabunga in Memphis. Because of course we fucking do, because it's Memphis wrestling. Chris Champion, who was actually a guy who was from the UK, played the character Cowabunga in Memphis. I have a little image here that I hope people will be able to make out if I angle it correctly. It's the stuff of absolute nightmares. Can you see this?
Jesus,
It's a turtle's suit that is... Oh my word! It probably cost them about $20, I would
we
imagine.
hired it from a fancy dress shop.
Yes, indeed. It gets worse. Cowabunga hung around in Memphis for a little while, had some semi-success and so on, actually winning matches and beating other wrestlers dressed like that. And again, it's just not a good look, is it? Now, if that was a one and done, you can kind of go, okay, they're trying something. However, somebody who I've got a great deal of respect for with regards to their wrestling mind, not necessarily all their beliefs and what they say online anymore, but somebody I've got a great deal of respect for with regards to their thought process on how wrestling works is Mr. Jim Cornette. Now, Mr. Cornette ran a wrestling company called Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
He did.
And at some point, Mr. Cornette saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle character of Cowabunga and thought to himself, you know what? He'll draw. And decided to bring over Cowabunga to his company. Now, at times, he was called Cowabunga in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. At times, he was just called the Ninja Turtle, because, I mean, how much more than those can you get it? And on this occasion, he was played by what soon to be WCW referee Mark Curtis, if you remember him, Magsy. He actually played the turtle. Yeah. And I just want to show you an image of this version of Cowabunga. Brace yourselves, please. Sharon, if you've got the granddaughter on your lap, turn her head away. She doesn't need to be seeing this. Can you make that out?
It's oh my god, yeah, it's cleared up and Jesus wept. What is the
Yes.
bandana and wristbands?
I don't know. The Ninja Turtle, or Cowabunga, hung around in Smoky Mountain Wrestling again for a little while, tagging with other cartoon characters, and again had some relative success, and even had altercations with Jim Cornette himself. Cornette was that convinced about this character, he involved himself to get him over, or maybe he was trying to steal the Ninja Turtle's heat. I don't know. Perhaps that's the way around it was. So that, in theory, should be it. Smoky Mountain wrapped up in the mid-90s. That era of wrestling died away. That era of wrestling went away because the Attitude Era, thank the Lord, came along with a big Steve Austin middle finger and kicked everyone in the arse, and stuff like that disappeared. Or so we would think. We head back towards Memphis, Magsy, as recent as 2002. And a company called NWA Midwest from Tennessee, which had certain aspects of Jerry Lawler involved as well, because obviously his territory had gone by this point. No one can find any records as to who played Cowabunga in 2002. That's right, still going in 2002. However, the original Cowabunga, Chris Champion, was also on the card and involved in the booking as well. I think he dusted off his old Ninja Turtle outfit to get a double payday.
Yeah.
Sadly, Chris Champion passed away at quite a young age. I think he was in his early to mid 50s. He died of a stroke and so on, which is a shame, of course. But that does not hide the fact that for best part of 3 decades, 2 decades at least, we had to suffer. Fans of certain territories had to suffer a wrestling Ninja Turtle. So this week, Mags, into the Chain Wrestling Hall of Fame, I would like to throw the character of Cowabunga and the awful outfits that these guys were wearing.
That's an astounding pick. The sad thing is, it's not the only Ninja Turtle rip-off that we've had in wrestling, lest we forget the Toxic Turtles.
Yeah, there we go. Wasn't Gilbert one of those?
He was, yes. But yeah, that's a great pick. Jesus Christ, the longevity of a ripped-off gimmick, that's unreal. Fair play to him
What?
for being able to pull it off for 20 odd years.
What's the popularity of the Ninja Turtles in 2002? Had they had a reboot? Was there a movie out at this point?
I think that it's been rebooted recently, not 2002 though. That'd still be the kind of the area that we knew. But yeah,
Right.
unless it was popular in America and still
Maybe.
popular. But yeah,
Maybe.
what a grift! What a great grift for him.
Yeah, indeed, mate. Indeed. Magsy, my friend, I don't think there's anything else there to shout out in the chat, is there, apart from Sharon with a comment?
Yeah,
before
just
we dive
Sharon
on to-
whinging, saying, "If anyone has asked me anything, I'm not ignoring you. We've had the granddaughter here for the next 2 nights." And then King Pig's brother said, "Sharon, we've had teething twins on Sunday, and they run me ragged." So yeah, King Pig Bladder's had it way worse, Sharon. So maybe be thankful for small mercies.
No, she's good as gold, really, my granddaughter.
Yeah.
She's downstairs, hopefully watching now. So hello, if you are. Hi. She can't understand anything I'm saying. She's a baby. Don't do it, Mags. Don't say the C word.
I won't say the C word.
No. Shall we dive into this week's non-wrestling topic, buddy?
We shall when I find the button. Why have I moved it? I have moved it. Where's it gone to? It's literally gone.
Has
We
it?
might not be able to jump into it because it's at Hall of Fame, wife singing. It's right near the bottom.
NWT time. Oh! No wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely.
Nice. Lovely. Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
That was really weird. All the buttons for the videos have been moved.
Who's messing with our shit? Who's going in
Yeah.
our StreamYard and messing with our shit?
Exactly. I blame those volley guys.
Yeah,
That
they're
Matt
influencers.
Lewis. Arsehole.
Yes. Arsehole. This week's non-wrestling topic was actually inspired by England playing on the Sunday night.
It was.
It was indeed. We wanted to talk about sporting heartbreak, whether that is, well, it is something very much synonymous with being an England fan over the years, of course, but also any other sporting heartbreaks you have had, whether that's to do with the club sides that you follow, any other sports, or even personal sporting heartbreaks with regards to games you played in or anything like that yourselves. And we had quite a few messaging in again, Magsy, didn't we?
This, I mean, this was one of the most packed non-wrestling topics that we had. There's a lot of people who are very upset at some of the things that have happened in sports. Jesus Christ, I think Ray had a 6-page list of all the things that have upset him as a young'un. So yeah, it really affected the CWF. Did this topic?
It did indeed, mate. It did indeed. I saw a what do you call it, like a meme or something like that on Facebook as well a while back. And it was a young girl sat there saying, "I don't understand. Men choose a sports team when they're 7 years old and allow it to ruin every weekend of their life until they die."
Yep.
And I was like, "Do you know what? That is so true."
Sometimes you don't even choose; it is chosen, thrust upon you. When you support your local team, you don't get the opportunity to choose. You have to support them, and it can be some of the worst things that you'll ever have to do.
There we go. We begin on the other side of the pond. We begin stateside with Connor Knows Soccer at Connor Knows Footy on Twitter, because I'll read these out, Magsy, as always, in the order they came in to us.
Definitely not in the correct order, though.
Well, actually, that's wrong, because that did come in later. So that's not right, is it? The order you've got them in is wrong there.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not, but you could easily just load up the Twitter page and read them.
We've been through this, and it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Connor says, "Not really a heartbreak, so I'm bending the rules a little bit here." He did this last
so
week as well.
that. So we'll ignore that one. Next one. You can't keep breaking the rules, Connor. We break the rules, but we
this
set
is strike
the rules.
2, young man.
Yes.
Indeed. Connor says, "In my 15 plus years of following baseball, and really could I don't. I struggle with Connor's messages sometimes, and really
So
could understand what's. Oh,
so
I see.
basically,
Okay.
in the time, he knows what's going on in baseball rather than just being
Yes.
a fan.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what's going on. I've never seen the Cincinnati Reds make a World Series. I've seen them make a playoffs once. That was the COVID season. Oh, okay.
Cool.
Well,
I mean,
baseball was
it's
waste time
called the
anyway.
World Series, but it only really involves North America. So
Didn't they have a Japanese team in it for a while?
did they? I know that Toronto have a team, so it is technically Canada involved as well.
Right.
They may have had a Japanese one, but it's still not the whole world, is it?
No.
So they've no rights to call it the World Series.
When we invent a sport, whether that's football, rugby, cricket, or anything like that, we give it to the world, don't we? We don't even get that good at it
Share it.
because we're not selfish. We let everyone else play and win, and we just
become
sit back and
better
enjoy
than
it.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Connor continues. I've also never seen the Columbus Blue Jackets. What a stupid name. Sorry, Connor.
It's actually a ridiculous name, isn't it?
I hope as well that they don't actually wear blue. That would make it for me.
Yeah, just like red, a red strip.
Or a nice lilac or something. I've never seen the Columbus Blue Jackets of the NHL make a Stanley Cup series. I've only ever seen them win one playoff round in my lifetime, and we won't talk about the past 5 years or so. The team's in some dark times right now. Well, there you go. But he's still such a young lad, isn't he?
Yeah. Shall we not just say though, Connor, that Ohio teams are shit, aren't they? I mean, I'm happy saying it. I'll put it out there so you don't have to. If your team is from Ohio, you're shit. You're never going to be good. So don't hope to be good. Just enjoy the ride.
Just accept it for what it is.
Correct.
Yes. Also, I was talking about on Twitter the other day about the Copper America, because obviously the United States are playing in that, aren't they?
Okay.
Saying about how he thinks the United States could actually win it this time. Now, I don't know a great deal about South American football or North American football, etc. But what I do know is that didn't the United States get walloped by 5 by Colombia the other day?
United States are shit. Anything from United, well, no, because Ori's from the United States and she's definitely not shit. But a lot of the United States is a bit shit, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's so big. There's so many different states that they all offer something different, don't they? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. I was talking to Ben and Dana, who do the Spotify playlist podcast, the Axe playlist podcast, the other day, and they were talking about how to go and visit someone, they got to drive like 5 hours, but to them that's like down the road. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I talk to Ray Cash a lot, and it amazes me that you can pretty much fit all of the United Kingdom inside Texas without it touching any of the borders. So his state, he's one of 50 states in the US, is bigger than all of our countries. And we would look at a journey up and down England as like that's a day's journey. You'd have to drive all day, and it's long, 600 miles or so. In America, 600-mile journeys is a regular thing. People do it like all the time, and it just blows my mind.
A pint of milk.
Yeah, well, pretty much. It's just we're such a teeny tiny country, but yet we're still better than them at pretty much everything.
Oh, there you go, mate. There you go. Have we got a baseball team? I bet we'd win that.
If we just gathered up, like say 11 people, and we could knock up a decent baseball team.
Well, Libs is quite good at rounders. Chuck her
same,
in there.
It's pretty much same with a heavier ball.
Yeah. Easy, mate. Easy. Up next, we have the First Lady of Chain Wrestling Live. We have Sharon at Sharon Korea 13 on Twitter, and she says, watching my daughter destroy her ACL and the long-suffering recovery broke my heart into a million pieces watching my 15, 16-year-old not be able to do the one thing she loves the most. Yeah, that was a tough time, that was, Maxie. Obviously, you remember us knowing us, it was,
But
it was
the way that she's gone through her recovery and getting back to playing, that's a heartwarming story on its own.
Yeah, she's done brilliant, actually. She's done brilliant. Also, Sharon says, watching Adam Cole lose to Johnny Gargano. But we don't talk about that in Power Palace.
I mean,
Do we not, no? But do you know what? I'm not 100%
He's-
sure where I'm going to go with my link just yet.
it's just two vanilla midgets, isn't it, wrestling?
There we go. Vanilla midgets. Oh, man. Rob, at UTT Rob on Twitter, he says, Huddersfield Town getting relegated from the Championship. Last day of the season, 2000-2001, when Palace and Portsmouth had to both win and hope we lost. And of course, we managed to mess it all up. Never actually thought we'd get relegated that season. I was just in absolute shock at full time. Man,
Yeah,
can you
well,
imagine?
that's the problem you had. What you should have done is done the Burnley thing: is wrap up your relegation pretty quickly, so then you
Yeah.
don't have that heartbreak of having the chance to survive because you've already resigned yourself to being in the second tier again.
There you go. It's the hope that kills you, isn't it? As they
It
say.
is. It actually is.
Yeah.
It's the hope on the final day that everything will go right and you'll scrape through, and then you get fucked over. So
Mm.
don't believe in anything. Don't have hope. Just accept your misery.
There you go. And that's a very English statement right there. Rob's partner on the awesome UTT podcast and all of its side projects, Mr. Dan Griffin, and also my partner, of course, on the Doctor Who pod, available on this very network. Dan Griffin says, going for the one that I was there live for, the 2015-16 League Cup final. Liverpool equalised in the 83rd minute to take it to extra time, then penalties against Manchester City. And they absolutely fucked it, scoring 1 of 4. Seeing your team lose on penalties live is fucking shite. Yes, I've been there.
I mean, there's getting beat in 90 minutes. There's getting beat in extra time. But losing on fucking penalties, that's a kick in the bollocks, isn't it? It's an absolute kick in the bollocks because you've scraped it all the way through 2 hours of hard football, and all you have to do is score 5 times. And you couldn't even do that.
And again, as an England fan, absolute shithouses. As an England fan, we know firsthand how horrific penalties are. Let's be honest.
It gets to the point where, as an England fan, if it's going to penalties, you expect to lose. You know you're going to lose, and that's because England are shit at penalties.
Maybe that's a positive though, because it's the hope that kills you, as we said.
Yeah. But it's the fact that we let shit penalty takers take the penalties. I mean, Gareth Southgate, who the fuck lets Gareth Southgate take a penalty? Who lets David Batty? Do you remember when
Terry Venables, obviously.
Do you remember when David fucking Batty took a penalty and he fucking just did a little hop and chip? That prick. Oh.
Yeah. But there are other guys who have taken penalties in the past, haven't there? Who are on available. But Batty stepped up because the other guys said no, we didn't want it.
Yeah, because the
shithouses. Yeah.
Shithoused it.
Fucking losers, man.
Yeah.
Ben Rogers at Ben Rogers 223 on Twitter. He says Wales versus France, Rugby World Cup semi-final 2011. Wales fighting tooth and nail, down to 14, getting a chance to win it at the last with a long distance penalty, and it going wide. Heartbreaking way to go out. Oh man,
that's great.
I don't remember that first. I'm not a big rugby fan myself, so I don't remember that firsthand. But my word, that must have been gutting.
I mean, the saving grace is it's in the semi-final, so it's not like you'd made it all the way. But yeah, last minute penalty and it goes wide. You'd cry. If you're a rugby fan, you'd cry.
That'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says, I am at the College World Series with JGB Jackson in Omaha, Nebraska right now after driving 1,200 miles in the last few days to get here.
Well, that just goes to the point I made earlier. He drove 1,200 miles. Drove in a car 1,000, the length of Britain and back in a car. For one journey. That's
not drive that back, mind. Wouldn't you just fly?
Yeah, surely.
I mean, I wouldn't because I don't like the idea of flying. But I'm saying, wouldn't most normal people fly?
Flying's amazing. Flying's the best. But
Not
I
for me, mate.
don't see where he's got the heartbreak there.
No,
I mean,
not
the
really.
heartbreak of maybe a long journey with a lot of screaming kids in the back, I suppose. But thanks for participating, Graham. Appreciated.
If anything, this was a boast, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's showing off. Yeah, my
Yeah.
kids have made it to the College World Series, men and there.
Everyone else is putting forward their heartbreak and their
And
disasters on a
he's
personal or
showing.
professional
Well,
sporting
I'm
level.
proud. I'm a proud parent because my kids have made it to the College World Championships.
God damn it, Graham! What's wrong with you?
Oh.
Why are you like this?
Prick.
At Pigs Bladders on Twitter, he says,
"Apologies, Graham."
That was unnecessary, wasn't it? Really, let's be honest. Pigs Bladders says, I was a huge Formula One fan. Watched every race since the mid '80s. In 2021, Lewis Hamilton's battle with Max Verstappen was brilliant, but at that year's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, FIA race director Michael Massey cheated mid-race to fix the race result. Not watched since, destroyed my trust. I don't know anything about Formula One, so what is that?
So I think, if I remember rightly, there was a crash on I think it was the second to last lap, which meant that the race was being run under a red flag, which means no overtaking until they clear the track. But what it meant was that Hamilton, who was out clear, it meant everyone else was able to catch up to him. But I think Verstappen had pitted. I mean, King Pigs is going to explain in the chat, I'm sure, but he was able to basically pit and get new tires and then get back into second position when Lewis Hamilton was clear out in front, but on old tires. And then it meant that when the race started, Verstappen was neck and neck with Lewis Hamilton rather than being 20 seconds behind, and he was able to just fly off on his fresh tires and basically win the race when he ordinarily would have not have been able to win. So yeah, King Pigo says he ordered a restart rather than run the race under yellows. So what should have happened is, essentially, the race would have ended with everybody in the position that they were in, but he instead gave Verstappen an extra lap on fresh tires to be able to overtake. And I think Lewis got taken on the second corner, and then it was just game over, and essentially handed the world title to Verstappen, who, to be fair to him, has gone on to be multiple-time world champion now. I'm not a massive fan of his. I think he's too aggressive, but he is a great driver in a excellent car. So yeah, I can understand why King Pigs Better would have been pissed off with that, because it was absolute bullshit.
Okay. Okie doke. We have Chris Bellis at Real Chris Bellis on Twitter. He says, used to be a big basketball fan, supporting the Orlando Magic, seeing their best team ever, led by Shaq, capitulate in the 1996 Chicago Bulls. To the Chicago Bulls of Jordan, Rodman, Pippen in the NBA Finals, crushed it for me. We haven't had a decent team since. Okay. Yeah, I suppose if you've got a side that isn't successful, or maybe isn't up to the level of winning stuff every single year, when you get that opportunity and then it just slips through your hands, that must feel even worse, because it's not like it comes around all the time for you, is it?
Yeah, and I think what makes this particular one worse is Orlando Magic at the time were superb, but they were coming up against arguably the best basketball team ever with the 96 Bulls. So everyone knows Michael Jordan is second in command, Pippen, and then Dennis Rodman, the cat weasel face fucker who ended up helping kill WCW. But yeah, that was elite level of basketball teams. So the fact that they haven't done anything since, that's another kick in the balls for Chris Bellis. But maybe support a better team.
You can't do that. If you've chosen your team, you can't just go support somebody else because they're better.
I mean, that's fair.
Or is it different in America?
For homegrown like clubs and teams, but he's got the he's got the pick of Americans. He's got no affiliation with any certain like town or city in America. I'm assuming. So pick a better one. I mean, and they swap towns whenever they get offered a brand new stadium. So, I mean, how many times has the LA Raiders moved town because they've got a new stadium built? So, yeah.
That's a different sport, though, isn't it?
No, basketball teams move as well. The franchise.
I'm just saying, the Raiders are football, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I just want to be clear in my own head. I got that right.
I think they're now the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're Las Vegas now, or they have been.
Well, Sharon will know. Sure, that's in the chat. Yeah.
Because they were LA and then they were Auckland because towns bid for the franchise and basically bribe them with a new stadium.
Like the MK Dons, but obviously that wasn't somebody bidding. That was them just pissing off, wasn't it?
That was them trying to revive Wimbledon and just making a proper dog's dick of it. They're still the most hated club in England.
Yes, indeed. What, more than Millwall? Do you reckon? More than Leeds? No, not more than Leeds.
Yeah, but Leeds are hated by particular teams. Like Burnley hate Leeds, Man United hate Leeds, anyone else in Yorkshire hates Leeds. But around the rest of England, they just treat like something that you stepped in. But everybody hates MK Dons because it's a fabricated team.
Like Forest Green.
A fabricated town. Yeah. Or Gloucester City.
No, hang on, what the fuck? Where's that come from? What do you mean, all Gloucester City? How are we a fabricated team from a fabricated town? First of all, we've got city status, you northern fuck.
Then you also went. The team went under, and you revived it from the ashes.
No, we never went under. We were very fucking close a few times.
Okay, well then you almost went under.
I can remember supporters literally being stood outside Asda with yellow buckets and "Save the Tigers" written on them, rattling their buckets, trying to get some change.
Anyway, back to the point, they are the Las Vegas Raiders. So, see, they've moved to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Sharon. There we go. Benny Mac, at Benny Mac on Twitter, he says, 10-year-old Benny Mac was devastated, tears and all, watching Euro 96 when the penalty was saved. We were just talking about Southgate then, weren't we?
Yeah. I mean, it's not even with that GIF that looks like it's been filmed on half a potato, it's not even a good penalty. It's
crap.
Low to the middle. And then you see the rest of the England players there standing around. Why didn't you bastards take one? Instead of a fucking, not even our best defender taking one.
No.
I mean, it was a good defender, but arguably shouldn't have even been in the team. And then they let him take a penalty, which he gifts to the keeper. Yeah, it's horrible.
Shit,
then we made him manager. Then we made him manager, and he'd only had experience at Borough beforehand.
Yeah. Well, no, he had the under-21s, didn't he?
Exactly.
So, I mean, but if anything, I mean, if you give me the choice of his career at Borough or his career at the England under-21s, I would say managing under-21s is more of an experience factor for getting the actual England job, surely.
I suppose, and to be fair, in the grand scheme of things, he's not done bad as an England manager. I mean, we got to the final of the Euros, but it just, for me, he wasn't the first pick for England manager. And
no.
I just hope he pulls it out of the bag this year.
Yeah, hopefully so. And then stays with England, because God's sake, we don't want him to come to the Old Trafford job. Oh,
can you imagine? Oh,
I'd be fucking mortified, mate.
I don't think he could handle the egos at Man United.
No. I just find him so dull and boring, and his football's not great. I think it's more individual talent as opposed to a team that's been structured to be entertaining, you know?
And I don't agree with a lot of his decisions as well. I mean, not taking Jack Grealish. I mean, as bad of a season that Grealish had, and it certainly wasn't one of his best, what that guy can do is ridiculous. To not take him just didn't make any sense.
No, I agree.
But if he gets it right and we win, we'll give him a pass.
Maybe. Benny continues, however, on a happier note, that goal by Gaza against Scotland in Euro 96 is one I've always remembered. Yeah, what a special moment that was, eh? That was
What a
Gaza, man. He's one
glorious
of my
goal.
favourite players.
And it's absolutely amazing the way he just lobs over Colin Hendry and then just puts it past Gorham in goal. But the problem I have with that goal is it absolutely overshadows the pin perfect cross from Gary Neville to Alan Shearer. If you watch that cross, the amount of Scottish bodies he gets that ball through he's essentially got the width of a football and a half to get that ball to Shearer, and he gets it perfectly. That is one of the best crosses I've ever seen. But it never gets mentioned because Gaza did that glorious goal, and he wasn't even going to go to Euro 96. He was almost dropped because of the whole dentist chair thing.
And the drinking,
and then he did that. Immaculate.
Remember, that came straight from a penalty save as well, didn't it? That came straight from David Seaman saving a spot kick from McAllister. What a stunner that was.
That was another weak penalty.
It was indeed. Steve-O at EliteFPL_Steve-O on Twitter. He says, and Mr. Mags, you can chime in with this one as well, no doubt.
I've read this one. He's nailed it. He has absolutely nailed it.
Yeah. Okay. Burnley last season. Coming off the back of one of the best seasons I've personally witnessed to the biggest shambles ever in Burnley's history, and that's a fact. Legitimately baffles me every Burnley supporter. What on earth happened? To top it off, Company becomes Bayern Munich manager by all accounts. He was 6th, 7th choice, but by God, he must have done an exceptional interview.
Talk about failing upwards.
Oh, yeah. How has he got that job?
And Burnley got a payout of 10 million to release him. And he's the highest paid. So he got double the last manager got. Bad, taking Burnley down. It's madness.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. Steve, I've got news. I've got nothing against him, but he's literally one of those people in life that just thinks about himself and those close to him. His post-Burnley interviews were bizarre, barely mentioning the club, or more importantly, the fans. Arguably the most strangest situation I've seen in a football club for a long time. Even Ancelotti, ludicrous circumstances being booted out of Chelsea, seems normal compared to this.
It's rare. I mean, I think that may just be his company's way, his mannerisms. He doesn't show a lot of emotions, but to not thank Burnley for giving him a chance, and to not thank the fans for sticking by him even when it was quite clear we just weren't up to the level of the Premiership.
Does he still have a job with him now, wouldn't he? Do you think?
Yeah. I mean, there were talks of him almost getting the confidence vote, but he would have took it if he would have stayed. Yeah, then we would have still had him as manager. For me, the problem with Burnley was the problem that's always with Burnley. They just don't have the financial clout to compete in the Premier League.
Okay.
I mean, the when we came up before this time, we had some great players that went on and to do some big things with other clubs, and we get raided. We're a selling club. It's as simple and clear as that. But what happened with this time when we come up is we did something that Burnley don't normally do, and that's fill the side with foreign talent, and especially young foreign talent. We tend to take chances on older, homegrown players, and then kind of build a team around them with people who are lesser well known. But this time it was pretty much all unknowns, all young, and it shows that the step up to the Premier League is so difficult from the Championship. You have to spend, and you have to spend wisely, and you have to get experienced players in the Premier League, or otherwise you're just going to get overrun. And that's what happened with Burnley. The players just didn't have that Premier League knowledge, that experience, and it took its toll all the way through the season. Now, what Company should have done is look to get some Premier League experience in to at least kind of like guard the youngsters, but it never happened. And then he went off.
Sorry, Max, do you think that was a lack of experience on his own part then, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps. And because it had worked so well in the Championship where we just destroyed everyone, I think there was just an assumption that same kind of mindset and tactic was going to work in the Premier League, but it's a different beast. You're talking very good players against elite level players, like teams where one of their players cost the same amount of money as Burnley's entire squad.
Yeah,
it's not the same game, at all. And you've got to spend to be able to compete, and Burnley didn't.
Well, fair enough. I wanted them to stay up, mate. I wanted them to stay up.
I mean,
I
I
had a
did.
little soft spot for Burnley. Well, of course you did, yeah.
We're a throwback. We've always been a throwback to when footballers were tough. You went in studs up. You play 4-4-2, and you boot the ball forward and get your target man to knock it down. That's how Burnley should have always played. It's been a hard transition to watch us morph into actually playing flowing football, but it's a work in progress. I think we'll get there again, and we'll be a little bit more successful every time. But being a yo-yo team in the Premier League for a club the size of Burnley, that's a big accomplishment. To be always there or thereabouts in the top flight, that's massive for a town the size of Burnley.
Yeah. United legend as well. Weghorst scored for Holland the other day, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
That bloke's a hero.
When you loaned him, when Man United had loaned a player off Burnley, that's just.
I thought I really wanted it to work out for him because he said he's a United fan, and you could see really fucking the effort this guy put in.
Yeah.
Just really wanted it. He was just a little bit crap. And that was the problem. But I really wanted it to work out for him, I really wanted him to just be successful. Not for the standpoint of it being my club, but for him personally. I just thought, the effort the guy put in.
Yeah, that I could not, when he was at Burnley, could not fault his effort at all. He gave everything that he got when he was on the pitch. He just a little bit of luck one way or the other, and a few more goals, and he probably would have had that confidence to go on. But it just didn't happen for him, unfortunately. But it is good to see him doing it on the international stage. Good on him. I'll always have a soft spot for him for that.
Yeah, there we go. We have Ray, who has just popped into the chat as well, saying it's half-time in the football.
How are you?
Yeah, he just wanted to say evening and looking forward to watching the replay tomorrow morning. Well, okay, you will see us then. Ray says, the Champions League final of 2006. Ray is an Arsenal fan. Arsenal won, Barcelona 2. Lehmann got sent off. The referee shouldn't have let the Julie goal count. Should have let the goal count, rather than give the red card. 1-0 up, and Henry went through and scuffed his shot. The only sporting moment where a tear actually rolled down my eye. For fuck's sake, he says.
Gutting. Absolutely gutting. But Barcelona in 2006 was something else, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. In that era, they were just, different class. Ray continues. The FA Cup final of 2001. Arsenal won, Liverpool 2. We absolutely dominated the final, but Owen scored a late brace to destroy a 16-year-old Ray. Still cannot believe Henry didn't score in that game. Yeah, Liverpool, man. Just the way they are, innit? Spawny bastards.
That's sad. That's sad for you, Ray. I mean, I suppose it's a thing with supporting Arsenal. They're always the nearly men, aren't they? Or most of the times they're the nearly men.
Yeah,
just let the cell down. He continues though because he's got
He
way more in the
continues.
bag yet.
Euro 2020. England lose the final on penalties. It wasn't the loss, but the matter of it. Once we went 1-0 up, we just sat back rather than try and score more against a decent Italy team, but not their best.
An old
It's
Italy
unfortunate.
team. That's the thing that pissed
Yeah.
me off. Though. It would their back four were like 125 combined or something like that in age. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It's unfortunately an English culture aspect of how our team play. And yes, he's right. And that's what's going to undo us with Southgate now.
Mm-hmm.
1-0 up in the game that's just gone by. Again, it's not a football podcast, so I apologise to people, but Ray's brought it up. That was part of the problem. We sat back. Southgate was negative. We let them back in the game. And that's the issue with Gareth Southgate. He's too negative. But anyway, Ray continues. Champions League quarterfinals. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2. There's a theme here, Max, isn't there? We're 4 messages in now to Ray's section, and I'm starting to see a pattern developing.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely thought we'd win the Champions League that season. We went unbeaten in the league. We'll come to that in a moment. The draw opened up and we had our best squad, but choked against an average Chelsea team. Still painful today. Yes. With regards to the Invincibles team, a fantastic achievement going a whole season without losing. But I can remember games. Sorry?
They had a lot of draws.
I can remember a lot of games where they were happy to take a draw. I think it was Leicester at home, maybe was one. I could be wrong with that. I apologise if I am. But there were times when you're thinking, well, if that was some of the great Liverpool sides, or if that was some of the great United teams of the 90s, we'd have gone again. Mm-hmm. Arsenal were happy to protect this chance of them going unbeaten for a whole season. And fair play, massive achievement. No one has done it before or since.
Yep.
But still. We move away from Arsenal now because it's getting far too painful for Ray, and that's fully understandable. Ray says, the 8th of December 2007, Ricky Hatton loses to Floyd Mayweather. I was in Vegas to watch the fight. Oh, why? Brilliant stuff, Ray. And it felt like the UK. We all believed he could do it, but watching the dissection was hard to take. Outclassed, and then Hatton's post-defeat abuse was sad. Pick at the bar below the night after. And that picture's great of him with Ricky Hatton there, isn't it?
It is. Ricky's I'm sure the guy's training for a comeback.
Oh, dear God, really?
If I've heard correctly on the boxing grapevine. But yeah, I mean, it kind of like how we spoke before. You can be great at something, but when you're coming up against a generational
elite,
yeah. I mean, we will see someone the quality of Mayweather once in a generation, and the guy was just unbeatable. I mean, he's genuinely unbeatable. Never lost in his professional career. So you can only really strive for second place when you're in situations like that, and unfortunately, Hatton fell short. But how good would it have been for him to win and be champion in Vegas? Yeah, but you'll always have that memory of going though, Ray. So that's win-win.
Yeah.
Well,
the issue with
win-lose.
Hatton in a lot. I'm not a boxing expert by any stretch of the imagination, but people who are far more knowledgeable than I've heard and read talk about Hatton and say the issue that he had, numerous other fighters have from this country and other countries as well, I suppose, in that they're a boxer, but in between fights they don't behave like a boxer.
Okay.
They don't eat well.
Live it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the issue.
I think Prince Nassim Hamed was exactly the same. He ballooned weight on and then cut it for his matches, then ballooned and cut. And people like Mayweather, they're always on that regime. It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go to another sport now with Ray. It seems Ray's just really unlucky. He has heartbreak everywhere he turns. Ray says here, the 2012 Wimbledon final. Murray loses to Federer. After the toxic media finally got behind Murray, he played an exceptional match, but still lost to Federer. Greatest grass court player ever, in his opinion. His runner-up speech was heartbreaking. Yeah, see, I've never really liked Andy Murray. I've never really got on board with that. And I think part of that influence is down to my mum, because my mum is the biggest Roger Federer fan probably in the planet. You know, she probably likes Federer more than his own mum. So that kind of, I kind of get caught up in that with my mum, I think, because she's a massive Federer fan. But she's a huge tennis fan and Federer is her favourite and so on. Murray, I don't know what it was about him. I never got that attachment with him.
Yeah,
You know?
he didn't have the charisma of, say, like a Tim Henman or a Greg Ruzetsky.
Tim Henman?
I mean, Tim Henman had more charisma than Andy Murray, surely. He talks like he's monotone. His voice is monotone. Win, lose, or draw. He's emotionless. But he's incredibly good. Arguably one of the best tennis players to ever play it. But he came up against an elite level tennis player. Yeah.
There you go.
As Ray says, arguably the greatest grass court player ever. So you're striving for that second place again. And he got it. He got exactly what he deserved.
Yeah, he did go on to win Wimbledon though, didn't he? Once or twice?
Once, I think.
Yeah. There you go then. So at least you got that in the end, I suppose, eh?
Mm-hmm. There was a long time where it was him, Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal all vying for world's number one, and he's been world number one multiple times. So he's an incredibly talented player. He's just not a Roger Federer.
There we go. We have one here from Ranty Ben at Largely Speaking, which you probably won't be able to find, Mr. Mags, because it's completely by chance I came across it, because Ben didn't actually tweet the show. He didn't tag Chain Wrestling in it at all. He just answered the question on his own feed.
Well, but that's not playing the game properly, is it?
It's a good job that it's popped up in front of me here, so I can just by chance. So, yeah, Ranty Ben, who you can hear, of course, on Nitro Nights, looking back at WCW week by week by week on this network, here out every single Friday. Ben says, "Okay, so a few things. That Euro '96 penalty shootout crushed 9-year-old me. Yep, I'm on board with that.
Yep.
Felipe Massa being made to let Fernando Alonso pass him in the Formula One got me as well. Yeah, is that the same incident we spoke about earlier, or is that another one?
No, that's a few years ago. They were both Ferrari drivers.
Right, okay.
So it was to make sure that Ferrari won. I think it was the drivers' champion or the constructors' championship or something like that. When Massa should have won and give himself a better chance in the drivers for the title.
Man, again, I don't watch Formula One, but this all sounds like a lot of bollocks and messing about.
It's you're not only driving for yourself, you're driving for your team as well. So if it's more beneficial for you to let your teammate pass, because you'll get more points as a team, then sometimes you have to bite the bullet.
What happens if they say no?
Then I'm sure there'll be arguments. I mean, Red Bull with Max Verstappen, he says no to Sergio Perez a lot. He tells his own handlers basically to fuck off. Says, "I'm the one driving." He's very, very aggressive. Very aggressive.
Ben continues. Not to mention being too young to understand the significance of a loser leaves time match.
There we go, back into the world of reality. All these KSM sports, because they definitely left town and didn't just go to another territory. Wink.
Yeah, there we go. Ben continues. Personal heartbreaks mainly involve comedy injuries. Cricket ball to the head whilst fielding, and then missing a cup game and having a seam mark in my head to this day. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Whoa. Goalposts collapsing on me whilst goalkeeping during penalties practice.
Brilliant. That'd be amazing. What was it made out of? Toothpicks?
I was going to say, Ben, when you hear this, let us know. Was it like proper metal goalposts, like the proper ones, or was it like some training gear that gets set up for the day or whatever? I've seen a proper
I,
full size metal crossbar fall on someone's head before, Maxie, and
I
it made
hope to
a
God.
horrific noise.
I don't hope he got hit by the crossbar, but I hope he got trapped in the net and was flailing around like a fish. That'd be brilliant.
We have Ja at I'm All Right, and he says, my first football heartbreak, Bolton versus Wolves 1995 playoff. Fuck John McGinley.
Super John McGinley.
More recently, semi-final of the FA Cup at Wembley. 2 up, something like 15 minutes to go, and we lost 3-2 after extra time, so fuck Watford. That journey home was awful, he says. Called in sick at work for 2 days. Oh, mate.
Because of fluid loss from all the tears.
That's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is,
Yeah.
the crying. And finally, unless I have missed any out, we have Rob at UTT Rob one last time saying, personal, I stood too close when my mate was teeing off 25 years ago, blood everywhere, and I still get headaches where it hit.
Oh,
Yeah, you probably want to
Jesus.
get that. You probably want to get that looked at, mate. If you still have headaches 25 years later, that's not a good sign.
Blood everywhere. So that's like his head is exploded.
Yeah. Like a melon.
And also, why were you stood in front of the ball then? Or is he twatted
No, I think
him?
he's into him with the club,
He's
hasn't he?
twatted him
He's
with the
teeing
club.
off and he's caught him with the club, yeah. Yeah. Which would probably
Wow.
be worse, wouldn't it?
I mean, maybe that's why he's a Huddersfield fan, because no sense, no feeling.
He didn't have a northern accent until he got hit. You hear about people who have that, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, he sounded like...
Hello, shall we go and play some golf? Wallop. E-bagum.
Now then. Oh, there we go. That's all I've got, mate. That's all I've got for this week, unless I missed any out.
That's more than a lot. I think there was 20 odd replies there, so you guys are absolutely knocked out of the park, and then obviously missed the penalty shootout and all been upset enough that you wanted to slit your own wrists.
There we go. Yeah, definitely. So, Magsy, what about your good self? Any personal stories, or as well as teams that you follow?
I can't really think of any real personal ones. I suppose when I was in the school cricket team, and I broke my leg, so I couldn't play for the rest of the season. But nothing like that really, I'd say was heartbreaking. A lot of mine have been covered. I mean, the Euro '96 one absolutely fucking pisses me off that stuff like that happened. Being a Burnley fan, you get hardened to heartbreak, because for every time we have some glory, there's going to be the subsequent dip. But yeah, a lot of mine have been covered.
Okay.
What about yourself, supporting Gloucester?
I've got a few, mate.
That's obviously a triumph, isn't it? It's always an upward trajectory with Gloucester.
Well, starting with Gloucester, then, since you brought it up, the night, I think it was 96, 97 or 97, 98. No, 96, 97 season, when we were, again, I spoke about it on the show before, we were 4 minutes from going to Wembley. 4 minutes from going to Wembley, mate, and we fucked it up.
You shit the bed.
We had a replay against Dagenham. We did. We had we drew 0-0 at Dagenham, and the second leg of the semi-final was back at Gloucester, and we drew 2-2 after extra time. Didn't go to penalties though, Mags. You get a replay back then. So we had a replay at a neutral ground, so we get to go to the lovely Slough Town Stadium.
Not that neutral, to be fair. You fucking hated him.
It's as pleasant in Slough as you can imagine, and we lost 2-1 to Dagenham. And there was a midfield player whose name was Spooner, I believe, something Spooner. And he, in the program notes, you always get people's careers, don't you? Like played X amount of games and all that. It said he played like 300 games for Dagenham, scored once. All right, we lost 2-1 that day. He scored both of them.
This is my time to shine.
And one of them, I swear, again, this is a memory from pushing 30 years ago now, isn't it? But one of them, I swear, was like fucking 30-yard screamer. It was
Brilliant. Just he
that.
chose that day to just come out of the shadows and just
Yeah.
fuck you right over. Brilliant.
If I remember it correctly, that same season, that glorious cup run we had. Bearing in mind, we were not in what was then the Vauxhall Conference. We weren't what's now the National League. We were a division below, so we were beating teams a division above us to get through to the semi-finals. Excuse me. And the glorious cup run we had also meant we had a massive backlog of league fixtures. So the lead or the battle for promotion that we built up kind of got whittled away. They played something like 8 games in 20 days or 21 days or something stupid like that. Yeah, and on the last day of the season, all we had to do was beat Salisbury City, who were a mid-table side with nothing to play for. We had a man sent off after 20 minutes and lost 3-1.
Because he couldn't be asked. Fuck this. I am knackered.
And Cheltenham Town had the luxury of missing a penalty and still going up in our place. So that's what I hate Cheltenham Town. I'm raging. Absolutely fucking raging.
Even now, 30 years on, you still hate him.
Fuck it, mate. And the guy who scored all our goals that season, Dale Watkins, who was my favourite player as a 15-year-old or whatever I was then, that summer, fucked off to Cheltenham. So that was lovely. Fuck's sake.
Oh. An amazing cup run fucked up your chance of getting promoted.
Everything.
Your worst enemies, your bitter rivals took your place, and then your personal hero fucked off to your bitter rivals. That was the worst day in your life.
It was horrific, mate. It was absolutely horrific. Being a United fan, obviously there's a few that have happened, but with England more so, I feel. Euro 96 has obviously been covered. I can vaguely remember bits of Italia 90, but I was a bit young for that. I can't remember much of it. So I can remember being around my mate's house and watching it with his dad and his brothers, but not really.
I remember it was when Gaza got sent off, weren't it? And Lineker was like, you need to keep an eye on him because
he got booked, didn't he? He got booked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he couldn't make the final.
Yeah. But the one that stands out for me, aside from Euro 96, is actually a couple of years later, France 98, because I thought we had a better team in 98. And I thought, we're going to win the fucking World Cup here. You know? And Shearer's goal was disallowed. Or Sol Campbell's goal, sorry, wasn't it? It was disallowed. And, heartbreak, mate. Heartbreak. On a personal level, if you want to laugh at me a bit more, we played a cup game. I was about 17, I think it was, maybe. And we were 3-1 down with 15 minutes left. And my strike partner scored twice to bring it back to 3 each. That gave him his hat-trick, so he was on fire. We got a penalty in stoppage time at 3 each. I was the designated penalty taker. I refused to give him the ball, stepped up to take it myself, knocked it straight over the bar.
David batted it. You fucking David batted. You Stuart pierced it, didn't you? You
straight over the bar.
Wrong'un. How dare you
straight
criticize Southgate and Batty when you have done worse?
Fucking shocking, mate.
Absolutely you should know how they feel.
And the first cup final. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. That's what it was. I want the glory. The first cup final that we reached when me and Sharon were running a team ourselves, an amateur side ourselves, we got to a cup final not really expecting to. We had a great cup run and we had a good side as well. And we came up against a team that won the league and we actually took the lead. And even though they were a much better side than us, we were looking at the clock and thinking we could maybe ride this out. Bloody hell, we're onto something here. We were looking at it as a day out. And then it was almost looking like we could win this.
Again.
All right.
We'll sit back and then this out.
We let in an equaliser, and then their centre forward, again, you could see why they were top of the league. This guy was a cut above. He went round about 3 players and then just slotted it in the bottom corner, and it was just a moment of absolute brilliance that won them the game. So the result was correct for how the game went, and the result was correct for how we finished in the league by comparison. But, mate, it was our first cup final, and it was fucking... I'm looking at players who thought that they'd never make a cup final in their time, in tears, because they saw that as their opportunity. Yeah. Thankfully, 3 or 4 years later, we actually did manage to win one, so that was nice. But at that moment, it felt like that was it, you know?
Heartbreaking, yeah.
Yes, indeed, mate.
And it was all your fault. You Southgated it. You thought, we're 1-0 up here, we'll sit back and just let them come at us.
There's one thing I am not is defensive. I'll tell you that.
10 men up
why we
front.
lost. Everyone go.
Oh!
Oh, dear me. Have we got anything in the chat we need to check in with, Mags, before we actually get around to talking a bit of wrestling this evening?
Yeah, we've only got a couple. We've got King Pigman saying people don't like Andy Murray because he's Scottish. I mean, that's fair. And then he says he's disappointed that Cheese Rolling Championships always leave him disappointed that there's not more injuries.
Yeah, well,
that's very mean. That's really mean that you're wishing people injuries.
Well, we spoke, didn't we, after the recording last week, Mags, or the week of the actual cheese roll, about the lady that won it a year or two ago. Do you remember? I don't know if we've actually mentioned it to the people in the CWF or not, but when you watch the video back, she hits the ground and passes out, and she is in third place at this point. Her unconscious body rolls and tumbles and bounces past the other two and wins, and she doesn't know she's won until she comes back around. She won whilst unconscious and overtook two people during the race being unconscious. That just shows how crazy that stupid day is, doesn't it?
I mean, looking at the steepness of that hill, how is that not been deemed illegal?
Well, they tried. They've tried to stop it before.
But Gloucester's just go rogue and we're going to do it anyway.
Thousands, mate. There was one year they tried to stop it for the weather because it had been pissing down. So if you imagine that hill just being caked in like a scene from Glastonbury, just a mud slope. People were falling down just trying to get up to it. Jeez. You know, and tumbling back down. And they tried to call it off that year, but still a couple of thousand people went up the hill and did it anyway. It's bloody mental, mate, round here. They're all nuts.
I mean, when it's the one thing you look forward to of a year.
It's not the one thing we look forward to, you prick.
Well, harvest season.
The onion. I suppose. We've got the onion fair in Newman as well.
When the most excitement you can get is a day out to Stroud. You're gonna
don't even go down that road.
Come on, Stroud is a happening place. You're gonna be excited about the cheese rolling, aren't you?
It's a lovely village, you know, and it obviously is much easier because it's very hilly terrain. They've tried to make the postman's job a lot easier by everyone being interlinked and having the same surname. So that helps with him. Shall we talk a bit of wrestling, my friend?
You inbred fuckers.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You made beer come out my nose.
Not the people watching. We love you. If you're from Stroud, you have got a bit too close to your own sisters.
Oh dear me. Anyway. Magsy won another poll.
You make it sound horrific, but you did win the last one.
That's true. I suppose I did. On that note, I am updating, as Magsy's aware, but just so everyone who's listening or watching is aware, I am updating the Chain Wrestling spreadsheet. So we have a record of everything that has been nominated for the poll, everything that has won, lost, every non-wrestling topic, and so on. So we don't get any repeats and all that sort of stuff. And we keep also keeping tabs of like who's won how many polls, how many 50-50s we've had, and so on. Still very close, Magsy. I've got like 20 episodes left to do, and we're still very close. There's only one or two in it. But also, I'm updating the Chain Wrestling feed, the show's own feed online as well. So it's all done via Red Circle. So we have the Red Circle site where you can go listen to the show. Because the audio version of this show, the podcast version, always comes out on the main SJP Raw Media Network feed. But I've seen people saying they want to go back and listen to previous episodes. Being on the main feed can be tricky to find. So I'm updating the Chain Wrestling's feed itself. I'm up to about episode 120 something, and this is 155, so I'm not far away from getting it finished. They are on there already. You can go check them out. Yeah. There's no descriptions for the episodes as yet. I'm going to be adding them at a later date because that's going to take a little bit more work. But yeah, they're all getting uploaded and so on, so you can go back and literally jump in and out of episodes, go and listen to certain specific ones, or even start off on episode number 1 and follow the chain all the way back across to where we are now. Just the first 20-30 episodes, it's a little bit on the ropey side. Just bear in mind we're finding our feet. But there we go. That is available via Spotify and all that stuff.
We've found our feet now, and it's still ropey as fuck.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think that. I think we just don't care as much anymore.
We've grown to accept that we are just idiots.
Yes, there you go. So then, the match that won this week's poll, the match that everyone voted for us to look at this week, comes from the same show as last week, Takeover Portland 2020 from NXT, and it is the match between Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor. When I pressed play on this, Magsy, and I went back and watched the little video package that, again, WWE do so well, don't they? They produce these things so well. Went back and watched the little video package, and instantly I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. Because a lot of NXT, I don't remember. But that moment where Balor does the overhead kick effort and
they call
kick
it a
Gargano.
Pele, but
Yeah,
for absolutely no reason. Yeah.
That was, I didn't expect that when it happened.
No.
And I remember sitting there and going, whoa.
Because Balor had obviously had a lot of time on the main roster, and it looked like he was coming down to help DIY in their feud with the Undisputed Era, but no, it looked like he was turning. He was potentially joining the Undisputed Era, but eventually he said, "No, I'm not. I'm on my own." But yeah, the shock of the crowd when he Pele kicks Johnny Gargano in the face. They erupted because this was their boy. This was their wrestler done good. One of the earlier members of the NXT roster won the title and then gone up and became the first inaugural Universal Champion, and then was coming back down basically as almost like a homage to NXT, and then he went and kicked Johnny Wrestling square in the face.
Yes, indeed. And that then built up to their match at NXT TakeOver Portland. And it was being billed as an NXT dream match, wasn't it? Because Johnny Gargano at this point was the top guy, I suppose, for in-ring anyway. Everyone looked at him as being a bit of a standard bearer.
He was the Finn Balor put NXT on the map. Johnny Gargano shot NXT to the moon. That was the kind of the tagline. These were two people who were the guy at NXT. And Finn Balor's whole issue with Gargano was that they made NXT an embarrassment compared to when he was the champion, that they weren't on his level. So this is why we got a genuine dream match. Two of arguably the best wrestlers that have ever been in WWE.
Indeed. Johnny Gargano was, after this attack, out for 3 months as well, they said.
Because he got the Sunday Bloody Sunday DDT. I think they renamed it to the 1916 DDT on the entrance ramp. And he was out for 3 whole months until he made his comeback.
Yes, indeed. And that ultimately goes forward and sets this match up. It starts very well for me, Magsy. Not like a blood feud match, not like a big rivalry match, because normally you expect people to come flying out of their corners, punching and scrapping and brawling because they can't wait to get hold of each other. But this starts with actual wrestling, and I quite enjoyed that. There's a lot of headlocks, a lot of head scissors, a lot of counters, back and forth, and so on. I thought that was a decent beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the two guys in the ring are so technically sound that if they started with brawling, it looked quite odd. These two are known for their mat wrestling, for their chain wrestling, essentially, and it almost felt like a throwback to 80s, 90s style wrestling with the very mat based stuff, but with that very new era twist on it, where there would be the scissors headlocks and twisting the arms into different positions, and then Finn Balor doing push-ups whilst having Johnny Gargano. Yeah, it had that old school style catch cans wrestling, but with the new modern twist on it, I suppose.
Yeah, the press ups when he's doing the head scissors, that was awesome. I love that.
Amazing.
Heel Finn Balor is so much better than babyface Finn Balor.
He's such a dick, isn't he? He's such a proper good at being a dickhead.
Do you remember when he went up to the main roster and did all that stupid smiling bullshit?
I mean, it was typical of Vince wanting the NXT playthings and then not knowing what the fuck to do with him. It's
Yes.
hopefully Triple H will give him something to get his teeth into.
Yeah, hopefully so. From one of these head scissor holds, we get a bit of a counter that leads into an exchange that speeds the match up for a moment. And it is very, I suppose, like you said, Maxie, late 80s, early 90s vibe to it. It's very almost Bret Hart-esque. I'm not saying with the moves they're doing, but with the pacing. It's very much a bit on the mat, and then we have a flurry of quicker action, and then we'll back to the rest holds and back to the mat-based stuff. This one involves, again, lots of counters, people blocking kicks and so on, a sunset flip, which then we have somebody rolling through the sunset flip, and Johnny Gargano just booting Finn in the face. And again, I thought that was brilliantly done as well. Really good exchange.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, some of the chain wrestling that they did, you see that there's arm drags and then jumping kicks, rolling through into hitting drop kicks. It's just flawless counter wrestling. It's brilliant to watch.
Yeah, it's glorious. From that moment, it kind of does break down. Well, no, that's not the right term. Sorry, it doesn't break down into a brawl, but it gets a bit more punch, kick, chop for a moment. Yeah, the emotion almost comes out of them a bit more, and it feels more happening this way because we've not seen it yet. I think as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the change comes when they start to spend more time on the outside. That's when you see the aggression coming. There's a spear on the apron. Balor gets thrown into the barricade. Then there's a beautiful sling blade on the outside. I thought that was absolutely gorgeously done. And then we go to like the shotgun drop kicks, which just look glorious. I mean, there's a shotgun drop kick later on that Finn Balor does from table to table. That is brilliant. But yeah, once they started that working on the outside, it got a lot more aggressive. But we see Johnny Gargano kind of like take the lead until we get him back in the ring and he tries the kind of rope lifting kick, which Balor catches and then does the in like a homage to Japanese wrestling. He does the dragon screw leg whip, and that's where we get Finn having a focal point. Then he's got that leg to focus on, and we then go back to some absolutely amazing technical wrestling again.
Indeed. Whereas Finn Balor is working the leg, Johnny Gargano at this point is also working the arm. So they've both got that kind of focal point, as you say. Johnny Gargano tries that kind of roll through kick again at one point, but on this occasion it's caught. And I like stuff like that. I really enjoy the little throwbacks to moments earlier in a match that the competitor, having it done on them or done to, has learnt from. I think that shows progress and it's storytelling, Max, in the day, isn't it?
It is. You're absolutely right. If you keep falling for the same move all the time, you are the idiot. But it shows a really savvy mindset when you see someone trying the same thing and you have, because you've been hit with that move before, you've learned, I don't want to go through that again, and you counter it. Yeah, it's progression.
It is indeed. Gargano dives to the outside, but this is blocked, and this then leads to a senton kind of thing, as how they described it on the commentary, as off the apron to the floor. Because the first dive is blocked, he manages to incapacitate Balor once more, gets up on the apron and does this kind of running senton kind of effort. And I thought that looked pretty good as well, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, they were pulling out some really unique wrestling in this, and that shows the chemistry between these two. Two superly talented wrestlers, but they also know how to tell a story in the ring rather than just charm off move after move after move.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference we have with this era of NXT. I say this era, it's not like it's a million years ago, is it? It's a couple of years. But that sort of golden era of NXT that we discussed the other day on the show. And how I said this is what I wanted AEW to be now.
Mm-hmm.
That alternative to WWE, but it's not. It's an alternative, but it's not an alternative done in the way that I want to watch anymore. That may change, and I hope it does. But the issue I have with AEW is that it's a lot of moves, a lot of things happening just for the sake of getting them in, and it doesn't make sense. Whereas here, we can see the guys doing aerial moves, spectacular strikes, crazy stunts, and so on. But it makes sense to what they're doing in the ring for it to happen at that time. And it's also not overdone to the point where you're thinking, okay, that means nothing now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's not 50 super kicks and 10 or AEW Tiger drivers or whatever. It's all moves that make sense at the time, and it stays in the context of the story that the two wrestlers are trying to tell. Yeah, it's quality wrestling.
It's indeed. The slingshot spear by Gargano to get back in the ring. That's fantastic. I love that. I mean, he's a small guy, so in theory, hitting a spear sometimes doesn't look as dramatic as we may be used to when you see the likes of a Goldberg or a Reigns or someone like that hitting it, or even an Edge, who's a much more slender guy than the ones I mentioned. Gargano's what, 199 pounds? He was introduced as.
If that though, in real life, it's probably not that.
No, but the slingshot aspect to it, and the fact that he's hit Balor very quickly, he's not travelled far to do it.
Yeah,
gave it that extra impact. I think that could be lost because of his size.
Yeah, it's the speed rather than the size and the power that makes it look really effective.
Yeah, indeed. Johnny Gargano does try and hit that long dart move, they called it, which gets countered. But again, he goes for it here and he actually manages to succeed. I thought he was going for an old-fashioned kind of snake eyes move, but he wasn't. He sort of just launches them into the middle or the bottom buckle, doesn't he?
Again, it's so well done. This comes off a block of a DDT. Balor blocks a DDT and Gargano kind of turns it into the lawn dart, and it's so unique. It's simple when you watch it and you think about it, but it's so unique to see it be pulled off, and those are sometimes the best kind of wrestling when it's not convoluted, but it's not something that you would have naturally thought of doing. And that's what you'd do in a fight. You'd scrap to the ends of the earth to try and get and get that one up, and Gargano with that lawn dart, it just looks so good.
Right. We get an exchange of kicks then, don't we? A super kick busts out, a Pele kick busts out, before both guys fall, with Gargano landing on top of Finn Balor for a 2 count. I enjoyed that. We've seen matches end that way as well, haven't we? Which is nice as well. If not used too often, I think that's a really effective spot. Yeah,
I think it would have been disappointing if this match ended that way, because the guys were just getting into their rhythm. You could see how some matches 10, 15 minutes and they're done. These are two guys who could easily go an hour and still keep you entertained. So for them to end on such a drab finish, it would have ruined this match.
Yeah, definitely. Both are then fighting over the top rope. One guy's on the apron on the outside. I think it's Finn Balor on the inside, and they're both punching each other over the top of the top rope. They both kick at the same time. Balor then misses an effort with a stomp, which Johnny Gargano then manages to turn into a DDT, but that rope-assisted DDT he does, which I think looks, again, very spectacular.
The one final beat, I think it's called.
Okay. the match is really speeding up now, so you can kind of feel that they're building towards the finish, can't you?
Yeah.
And we're getting lots of swing blades and all that sort of stuff. Super kicks are flying around, and it's building up, Max, isn't it? The finish is coming, I guess.
Yeah, we're getting Johnny go for the Gargano lock more and more to try and get the submission. So yeah, it's getting more heated.
Indeed. Balor misses another stomp, which leads to Gargano. The Gargano escape is a move that
That's it. The Gargano escape.
Yeah. His name is Balor. Sorry, my mind went completely blank there. A proper brain fart. Balor escapes, but then he's put back into it again, and it looks like this could be it, because when we've seen this before with Benoit and the crossface, Angle and the ankle lock, where somebody escapes and they're applied straight back into it again, and you're thinking, oh, that's it, then they can't, But on this occasion, Balor
Cena
gets
with the STFU.
Sorry?
Cena with the STFU. That very deadly finisher.
That awful effort. Yes, indeed. We're back on the outside again. Johnny Gargano drop kicks Balor into the barricade, which is a throwback to the attack that happened, that started this feud, that led to this match. Yeah. Then Gargano is into a table.
Well, he spends a lot of time looking at the table as well.
Yes, yes.
Like telegraphing, I'm going to put this motherfucker through this table. So he gently kind of shifts the NXT sign, but doesn't move the monitors. They can stay there. But he falls foul of the old wrestling adage: he who sets it up must take it. And Balor, I mean, there's not enough weight on these guys to put a table through, I don't think. But he ends up, Johnny Gargano ends up being slammed onto the table. And then that's when we get Finn Balor look at the other table. You see Beth Phoenix and Mauro and Nigel McGuinness move out the way because he's going for a brilliant spot. He essentially runs across the English announce table and then shotgun drop kicks Gargano from the Spanish table into the barrier. Lovely looking spot. I absolutely adore it. Yeah.
Great stuff. We go back inside the ring from this. Balor goes for the stomp, which is from the top rope. What's the name he has for it? The
coup de grace.
That's it. That's the one. A crazy DDT as well. He hits.
That's the 1916.
It's almost like a brainbuster, isn't it? But slightly off.
It used to be called the Sunday Bloody Sunday because of obviously the Irish troubles, but it's got changed to the 1916. But yeah, vicious. It's a very Japanese wrestling style. You can see the influences that Finn Balor's got from his time with New Japan. It looks brutal. It kind of reminds me of Sami Zayn has started doing the stalling brainbuster in the corner. He did it quite a lot. I think he did it at WrestleMania. It looks like that, but he's driving the head and the neck into the mat rather than into the corner post.
Yeah, it's such a dramatic movie. It looks spectacular. And then we get a really cocky cover as well, don't we? Because at this point in his career, and rightfully so, because it's probably part of it, it's his best role, I think, playing this kind of guy. He's a cocky piece of shit. And that gets Finn Balor the 3 count. Yeah. Maxie, I really enjoyed this. What were your thoughts?
It was bloody great. I mean, this has come from the same card that we watched last week, and it's hard to separate the two matches in terms of a score.
Right,
two different style matches, and this one was certainly less botchy. Not that the other match was botchy, but there was a couple of moments in it where it stopped it getting a perfect 10. I don't think this match is going to get a perfect 10 as well. Because I think that there was maybe a little bit more that they could have done, but it's certainly on the same level as last week. So this is another 9.5.
9.5. 9.5, right. I've got 9 again, which I think is what I gave last week, isn't it?
You did.
So it's on a level with that. I agree. They probably could have. It's almost like they held back a little something. But I don't mind that because we're putting together a 3-hour show here.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, again, I come back to AEW, you don't want to be telling people don't do this, don't do that when it comes to a wrestling show. Go out and entertain as best you can. It's kind of the mission you want to send. But at the same time, you don't want to overshadow the main event too much. You don't want to, that sort of thing. So I can maybe that was the mindset with how things were produced and put together. I'm not sure.
Perhaps. I think as well around this time, Johnny had obviously solidified himself as Johnny Wrestling, and he was getting known for epic trilogies. And this would have been the first. It felt like it was going to be the first of a trilogy. He's obviously done trilogies with Cole. He's done trilogies with Ciampa. He was getting known as like having these grand overarching storylines, and maybe that was the plan, that this wasn't going to be a one and done. So that's why they held a little something back. So they've got
I can see
more
that
to go to. But I mean, even with that criticism, it's still a fucking outstanding match. I mean,
yes,
it's unreal. It's we can't overstate it enough. The NXT in this period, it was the bollocks. It was the absolute bollocks of wrestling.
it was. It's so good. And again, this is what I really wish AEW was like now.
Mm-hmm.
A genuine alternative, you know? I mean, it's entertaining enough. There's stuff out there that entertain me, but I get a little bit sick of some aspects of it. But that's my own personal taste. I understand there are some people who love what they do, and that's fantastic. Good luck to them.
The thing with AEW is you cannot fault the in-ring stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can find fault in it. But that's not an AEW thing. No, that's not an AEW thing. That's a wrestling in general thing. I firmly want to buy into what I'm seeing. I want to have that suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. And when I sit with my young daughter, she used to, until a couple of years ago, very much believe what she was seeing was real. I don't want that bubble burst for as long as possible for young fans and so on. And also with potentially hooking in new fans and sitting them down to watch something. So when you see somebody take 5 pile drivers and they get up at 1, that's not for me. When you see somebody take a DDT on the floor and they still kick out at 2, you've just dropped a motherfucker on his head. That bothers me. The flippy stuff, athletic, man, it's so athletic, fantastic and exciting. I can overlook that. That's not an issue. And quite often, I actually do enjoy it, you know? And again, it's they're standing there waiting to catch them and all that sort of stuff does take away from it a little bit. But I can overlook those aspects because I do get entertained by the other aspects. But when you're seeing somebody get waffled with a DDT onto a chair on a concrete floor, and then they get up and they're getting ready to do their next 47 backflips a couple of seconds later, that aspect's not for me because it's just one step too far. But I'm a 43-year-old grumpy old man. I can appreciate why younger fans, again, such as my daughter Charlie, will watch it and adore it. Again, it's different tastes, different opinions, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know.
No, absolutely not. I mean, wrestling is a buffet. You're not going to like everything. I think my grab along those lines with AEW is that's how AEW started, and it was fresh at the time. But they haven't evolved over the 5 years or so. They're still wrestling like they were at the beginning of their start as a company, and I think you do need to evolve with the times. So perhaps it's a bit of that, but it's still an alternative, and the guys have got guys have got more places to go, and it's better for the wrestling business if there is more than one big company. So as much as I rag on AEW, I wouldn't want them to not be around.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Oh, maybe I've been a bit negative there, and I apologise if that's the case. I don't want to mislead people. I am definitely not anti-AEW. In the same way I am not pro-WWE or anti-WWE. I've got no affiliation to any brand. I'm not involved in this stupid arguments on Twitter and this territorial bullshit. I love pro wrestling. I will watch any pro wrestling. People recommend stuff to me. I watch it. I either like it or don't, whatever, because of my own personal tastes. It doesn't matter to me what initials are on the top of the poster.
It's
I love
just
pro
good
wrestling.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the main aspect for me. WWE got very stale for a while. I wanted an alternative. NXT provided that, even though it's a WWE brand, of course. That went to the wall. AEW provided that for a while. Now I don't feel the same passion I did previously with AEW. I still watch the pay-per-views and still enjoy it with my daughter. But there's aspects of it now that, I suppose, like you said, Maxie, it's not evolved. So certain aspects that didn't bother me originally now do, maybe.
The new shine has come off it, and
Oh, yeah,
you're
okay.
more
There you go.
critical, I suppose.
Yeah, okay. Good shot. Okie doke then. So there we go. So a 9 from me and a 9.5 from you. Very high ratings for this match indeed. However, that's this week. And the nature of the show, as always, is that I will put forward a link and you will put forward a link. The people in the CWF watching and listening will vote on Twitter and decide where we go next in the chain. Magsy, where would you like to go next if your selection wins?
Pure and simple. I've said over the last couple of weeks, let's stick around in NXT for a little while. My link is Johnny Gargano. I want to go a couple of years earlier to War Games 2018, where he faced Aleister Black.
Oh, why? Okay. War Games 2018. I'm just making a note of it here so I don't forget to put it on Twitter later. Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black. I bet my wife in the chat will remember that match and will tell me whether I enjoyed it at the time or not. I imagine I did, but it doesn't ring a bell straight off the bat for me.
Okay. So the whole storyline was that Tommaso Ciampa had beat Aleister for the title, and then Aleister was kind of on the return to get a title shot, and Johnny Gargano had come out and basically screwed Aleister Black of his win. And then when Aleister came out to confront Ciampa to get a title shot again, Johnny Gargano again run out. He attacked Ciampa, and then Aleister Black said, "I blame you for me losing the title," and give him a black mass, and then that's what led to this match.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm sure I will enjoy it when I watch it because I loved that era. So if I watch it, I should say, sorry, not when, if. Because it has to get the
So
vote.
you already had the defeatist attitude.
I
You
did.
already
It's
feel like you're
another
going to
poll.
lose. You're a Gareth
It's another.
Southgate.
I am, mate.
Sa-
Negative
Southgate.
all round. Negative all round. Size Southgate. I did. I already had resigned myself to losing another Twitter poll, but there we go. My choice is NXT as well. But I am moving away from this show because I'm pissed off that I didn't win the poll this week. Even though I enjoyed what we watched, I'm pissed off I didn't win the poll this week because people literally said, put that up and we will vote for it. And the fuckers didn't. So screw you lot. My link is Johnny Gargano again. But my link is actually going to a tag match. I would like to go to NXT Chicago. And the main event of that show from what year did I have down here? 2017, I believe it is. Yes, 2017 NXT Chicago. And I would like to go to the ladder match between DIY and the Authors of Pain, which main evented that particular event.
Oh, that is a good match. When you said a tag match, I thought you were going to go for DIY versus the Revival 2 out of 3 falls.
Wow, that did cross my mind. Cross my mind.
But AOP in NXT, oh God, very much Road Warriors vibes. Very much. Just brutal.
Yes.
I mean,
indeed.
Look at some of the tag teams they've had in NXT. War Machine were in NXT. It was superb.
You think back as well, like the Vaudevillains. I loved them. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Going way back, what were they called? The original killer tag team in NXT, way back when. Right at the beginning of the run. That's it, the Ascension. They were brilliant at NXT.
Sanity.
You know?
They were good.
Yeah. Oh, and it all just goes to shit when they go to the main roster.
Yeah.
Such a shame. Such a shame. But there we go. Those are your options for this week's poll. As always, this show is your show. So you decide where we go next week and what we look at. It's been that way since episode 1, and here we are, episode 150, whatever it fucking is. And it will always be that way. You need to find and follow us on Twitter at @chain_wrestling. That's at @chain_wrestling to be involved in the poll, which will be up later in the week. And that poll is as follows. We have from the show War Games 2018 in NXT, Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black, or we go to NXT Chicago from 2017 and the ladder match between DIY and AOP, the Authors of Pain. Vote in the poll, retweet, etc., 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 and then hopefully, I'll win one, maybe. But either way, 2 good matches. So whichever way it goes, whichever way the people decide, I'll be happy, Max. I'll be happy. There we go then. I suppose before we get out of here today, Magsy, you need to dive on in and expose more of the great orange racist's filthy, filthy lies.
Let's listen to some of his bollocks.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire, squirming, squirming, pants are burning. When I lie, my hips start turning.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Look, man, I made a mistake.
I heard all that. I heard all that.
Wow, shock. You might have fixed it by an accident.
That's all the other jingles for since like the last month. It cuts in and out, but I heard all of that one.
Wow. Fingers crossed that it stays like that. Anyway, on to Hulk Hogan. So, according to Billy Bollocks, Hulk Hogan, when he signed with the WWF, Bob Backlund was very bitter and jealous. Hogan talked about Bob not wanting to pass the torch to the incoming star and refused to appear or tag with Hogan. But within 3 months of entering the WWF, Hogan was in a program with Bob Backlund and was in both single and tag team matches.
What a liar.
He's a proper twat, isn't he?
Oh, dear. I love the way as well that he has told so many lies and spouted so much bullshit in interviews, his own book, and it's stuff you can easily go and find yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much of it. In a way, you want to say thank you for him for being such a liar, because he's given us content that will last years.
Well, we've been doing Hogan is a liar now for what, 4 months, maybe longer. I've still got loads to go through. Still got plenty. I've even got an idea for a sequel of a section because I saw a YouTube video recently about the lies that The Rock has told. So that could be a sequel.
Interesting. I'll make another video. Magsy, I don't think there's anything going on in the chat right now. Oh, no, there's one from Pig's Bladders there saying, well done, lads. No mentions of noncery tonight. So that's a
why would you say it? Now it's time for me to shame you for bringing up the N-word. One week we could have gone without saying it. You disappoint me. You really
It'd be nice. It'd be nice if we went every week without saying it. I'm not going to lie.
And we could have done it this week. We could have started it, but you had to say it as per usual.
There we go. Sharon in the chat saying she didn't hear because the Bubba was talking to her downstairs. Sharon, Magsy's option for the poll is Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black from the War Games event in 2018. I said I can't remember much about it, but I bet you do because you were massively invested in NXT yourself at that point. So there we go. But that's that, Magsy, for another week.
It is.
I've had a bloody good time.
What a great... These NXT revisits are just brilliant. We love it. And the amount of input from the CWF, you guys are making this show better and better every week. Indeed. It's us holding this show down. It's me and Sad that we keep this show grounded by being terrible. Yeah, we definitely wreck it.
We do indeed. I do miss dipping into a bit of 80s NWA mind, Jim Crockett Promotions. Maybe that's something we can look at.
Plenty of time for that.
Magsy, before we go, do you want to let everyone know whereabouts they can find your good self online?
Down here at Podfarmer Mags on TikTok, I think. Yes. At Podfather Mags on X, but I only check it really for this show. So if you do add me, I'll probably add you back in a week or so.
There we go. Anything I'm involved in, you can find and follow via the network that carries this show, and that is at SJP World Media on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere you can find your shows. And on the network, we have shows that cover pro wrestling, of course, like chain wrestling that you're looking at right now. We have shows that cover football with The Volley. They do live shows on the very place you are watching this at the moment. And we have plenty of podcasts and just audio versions as well. If wrestling is your thing, we have Nitro Nights looking at WCW week by week, starting at the very first Nitro, running all the way through to the company's demise with our friend Randy Ben and myself. We have some podcasts looking at music. We have Tyler Talks Music with the great Tyler Peters. We have the Axe Spotify playlist podcast. Put my teeth in. With the brilliant Dana from the United States, looking at different Spotify playlists for different moods and different bands. If you enjoy a bit of time travel TV, we have The Waiting Room, a podcast that looks at Quantum Leap with Mr. Benny Mac, and we have the Doctor Who pod with our good friend Dan Griffin as well. There's so much on SJP World Media. Just go and check it out, give a subscribe, listen on the main feed, like what you like, and if you don't like certain things, you can go off and listen to the show's own personal feeds and listen to the back catalogue as well. But most importantly, you can find and follow this show itself on Facebook and Twitter, or X as it is now known, and that's at @chain_wrestling. That's at @chain_wrestling, and that is where you will find the poll each week where you decide what match we look at, and also the non-wrestling topic where we will put forward something that's not wrestling based and just have a conversation from what you send us. And that's kind of how the show works, Mr. Max, isn't it? You're still muted, my friend.
Well, I didn't realise I was muted in the first place. But yeah, it is.
How weird is that? Normally it's the other way around. It's normally you going, "I'm muted, you dickhead."
I just thought I'd give you a bit of reason to shit on me for once. Since I'm so
I appreciate that.
professional.
I'm perfect in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Right then, before Magsy dives in with an insult and inevitably to Barry Windham, I'm off now to go and see my granddaughter who is downstairs. Mr. Mags, I'll see you next Monday, my friend.
Podfather Mags, of all the wrestlers you could name that held the big gold belt other than Flair, you say Barry Windham. Sir, yeah, Windham was better in the ring than Luger, Sting, and definitely better than Hogan. Mags, no one remembers Windham but you. Bye, folks.